I don't think you'll run into a person from Vancouver who doesn't have a story about Stanley Park and what it means to them, whether they're running through the park by themselves, whether they're there at night. I've talked to people who go there at night. That's their favorite time to visit the park. Other people go on Sundays with their families. I think what strikes me as most interesting is it's multi-generational. People and their families have used the park for many, many years. Grandparents, parents, uncles, aunts, children, grandchildren. And so everyone has some connection to the park, and it's one of those historic symbols, I think, that people, it resonates with their families and resonates with their communities.
My father's a hard character to describe in a way, because he's got a serious side which few people know about, and then he's got his artistic side which most people know about, and then he's got his really quirky side which is only very, very few people know about, and that's the side I most admire about him. He lived a pretty good life until, of course, the war had come around, and of course nobody who was in Europe had a good time of it. The German government had traded Polish citizens for German expatriates in Russia. That's where he met my mom, who was from Romania. And after, when he moved to Vancouver, that's when I actually made huge connections with him. That's when I really got to know him as a person, and not only as his dad, but as a person. But more than anything else, he loved art. He just loved art. He liked talking about it. He liked doing it, and he studied in Montreal as well. I remember walking into his bachelor's suite, he'd have the radio on, TV on. Often he'd be cooking at the same time, painting, and basically paying attention to none of it. I guess he's almost like, it loved the multimedia thing going on, because it made him feel like he was not alone, and he really was alone. Like it was his company in a way. And then when he came to Vancouver, that's when he didn't know what to do. He was living on his own at the time. He didn't know what to do, and I suggested Stanley Park, because I was down there one time and I was watching these other artists and they were painting things, and said, well, you know, you got to get out and do something. Maybe you could try that. So I took him down there and I said, well, what do you think? And he thought it was a great idea. And actually, I think it probably added years of his life by having done that, because he had a sense of purpose. He would get there very early in the morning and probably spend a good hour and a half setting up his easels each time, just taking him out of the car, setting him up. And I guess one of the big things was find the exact spot. It made a huge difference to him where the sun came, where the light hit his paintings and whatnot. There was 2 or 3 places that he really favored a lot. And I knew if I would go down to Stanley Park where I would find him. I think he was a complex artist, a Baroque artist in the way, not so much in the style, but in the idea that you had many things going on at the same time. I think about music, for example, in contrapuntal music, you have a melody, you have another melody, and then you have another melody, sometimes in harmony. And I think his artwork was kind of like that musically. It would be similar. He'd have, you know, something important here and something else important there and something else important there, and they might be equally important. You're not sure which one he's trying to bring out more than the other. He always had stories. People would talk to him. It was great. It was really good for him to, for the Mr. Recluse to actually be social. I got the phone call on the day of that he passed away, and I could not barely understand what he's saying, but I knew he was in trouble. And so I took off as fast as I could. He was still alive, breathing very shallowly, and he said, I'm going to die. He knew it actually ahead of time. I said, of course, put on a brave face, of course you're not, you know, but yeah, he was right. He is actually buried in a cemetery, but quite frankly, that wasn't really his place to be. It wasn't the place that had the most significance. To me, it was no question whatsoever. In fact, to the entire family, we never batted an eye on this. We knew that Stanley Park was the special place. That's where spirit was, really. If there's such a thing as spirit, that's the place it would be. This place is important to me because I spent endless hours here with my dad. This is the spot. This is the place where he hung out and spent his best hours of his life, I'd say, in his last 15 years or so. This spot here commemorates that. This is the very place where he would have his paintings. He sold over 100 paintings, I think, overall. Clearly that might be part of his legacy. Art is a funny world, you never know. Certainly from the point of view, my point of view, as obviously his son, I am his legacy, clearly. The fact that I'm alive and my children.
I think he'd be a bit like Dad. He sounds funny, good at chess, and Dad's never been into painting art, but he does really good at music.
I think that when my children are grown up, I think that's when I'm going to have the luxury of more time. I think this is the greatest thing about art is that you could blossom at a much later time if you want to, and I'm so glad that I'm not a person who's done it all. I have something to look forward to. You know, I wouldn't want to instill too much message or anything into anybody. I just want them to enjoy the bench, enjoy the park. You know what I would like them to do is to have. I would love them just to sit over here, and just take in the view that this artist took in, and they see the name and say, "Oh, interesting. I wonder who that is." Well, obviously the family cared about him. Great, and oh, he's an artist. That's about. I mean, that's all you're gonna get out of this. What else can you? And that'd be great. But really, just basically enjoy yourself. Have fun.